Dobra večer svima, ja sam Dora, dobrodošli na agendu, ovo je Omonti, ovo je bedtime.
Yes, I'm bedtime.
Welcome guys to United Agenda. Today is my stream, I guess, because this is something I've talked about with the other guys for quite some time. We were trying to fill up the international break, and apparently this was my idea. We were brainstorming, and this is what we came up with. But welcome everyone. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all going to have a great time. Let's see, who is it in here? Oh, Steph, of course. She's here with us. Aimal as well. I can't wait for that. That's very nice of you. Bart, as always, our Liverpool, our very funny Liverpool fan, and Simon Warner, the most polite guy in the comments. Hope you're all good. Today is going to be something different. We are all fed up. Not all of us. I'm a bit fed up with Amorim talk and all that because I'm a bit fatigued of it because everyone is talking about it. So we decided to go, I guess, 7 years in history of Manchester United. 7 years in the past, and we'll talk about that today. How are you guys doing? On Monday, I know you said you're a bit under the weather. Hope you're all right for today.
Yeah, I'm just on the cusp of breaking out into real illness. So I'm trying to fight it. I think I'm winning. Well, hopefully I'll win. I'll let you know tomorrow.
I'm glad to hear that because I told them on the hope you're well in the future. So
not now, not now,
but
in the future.
Yeah. Hope you're well now. Sorry, second language and all that. I have an excuse. How are you, BT?
I'm very well, thank you, Dora. I'm extremely excited to go and liberate Cuba with Yabba later. I'm a big fan of that Che Guevara look, Yabba. I think it really suits you. But yeah, I'm really excited about the show tonight. I think it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah. Well, I honestly cannot wait to start. So we are going to start. The theme or the topic of today is we are going to talk about the football heritage, something that are very, I would say, very charismatic, very iconic manager said in 2017 or 2018, I'm not sure, but he talked about football heritage, and that is Jose Mourinho. And we will talk about his squad and how they fared up after Jose left and after their United careers. So buckle up, everybody. We are going to do it. So right now, how do I share this? Share my code. Okay, so for example, as you can see, what Jose said a lot on that press conference, we can all agree. But what really stood out is see where they play, how they play, if they play, that's football heritage. So what do you guys think about that quote? Can you remember how you felt when Jose Mourinho said that? Omondi, do you remember that era? Do you remember that moment in Manchester United history when he said that?
Yeah, I do remember it, but I just need some context here. Was it before a game? Had he just lost? Had he just left the club? What set me up here? Why was he being asked these questions by the press? Because I know he was saying his second place finish was one of his best achievements. Is this the same interview where he's...
BT, can you help us with that?
Yeah. No, so this is after a loss in Europe. Against Sevilla. I think Ben Yedder scored twice.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Jose talked about the fact that, like, he was saying that there's a concept in Portugal called football heritage, and it's what you inherit and what you have to work with. So he talked about what he inherited Real Madrid, which is like Luka Modric, Xavi, stuff like this. And then he talked about Manchester City, that the lowest they'd finished was fourth. They had players like Sterling and so on. That's football heritage. Look at my squad. They've finished sixth. They've been knocked out. They haven't been in Europe for this amount of time. They've been knocked out at this time. That's football heritage. So he was basically sort of taking the blame off himself, saying that it doesn't really matter about tactics and things like that. If the players are crap, what are you going to do?
Do you guys agree with that statement? Let's talk about it more. Do you agree with that statement? Do you agree that, maybe you need to have the best possible players to do something great, in this context, if you have, not very good players, you will not achieve anything. Because if we remember Jose Mourinho, like he had an amazing team at Porto who won the Champions League and all that in 2004. But at that moment in time, they weren't that very well known. Like Deco was, a younger, Ricardo Carvalho was a younger player. Those were players that just started coming onto the scene. So maybe he obviously is, a bit exaggerating here because he just lost, he just bombed out of the Champions League. But what do you think about that? Or do you believe what he said there? Do you need to have the best players ever to, achieve something?
Can I go?
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So he's just been kicked out of the Champions League, and he's been asked questions about it. And sometimes the manager is the one that gets sacked, and he's talking about the players. He's trying to boost himself up here by saying we are overachieving. We've come sixth place before. We haven't reached these levels with the players that we have, and I'm doing my best to work with these sort of players here, and we are achieving. That's heritage. So this comment here that you flashed up, see where they play, how they play, if they play, that's football heritage, talking about what they do in the future. And in the future, someone on the Man United agenda will make a show discussing this and prove Jose Mourinho to be right. And that's you, Dora, right now. So we are sort of reviewing something that was said a few years ago. And is it prophetic? As in, Jose, has he proved to be right? This is what I think we're going to be going through today. So Jose is a very intelligent man. I don't think it would have gone over people's heads at the time. Not like the seagulls tracing the trawler. That's never been really understood. But this makes a lot of sense. He's basically saying, I've overachieved with the players I had, and you need to put some respect on my name, because you look at the heritage where these players will be in the future and what I've done with them, coming second place and getting in the Champions League and whatever, then you will all bow before me. That's what I believe he was trying to make a point of.
Bertram, do you have some thoughts about this quote?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jose. Like, I like tactics, like the tactical element of football, but the best players win leagues. Like, it's been proven since the start of football, which like very, very rarely do you get kind of shock results anymore in a league. Like maybe Leicester, but the best players win your matches. And what Jose is talking about is that these players have no experience of winning anything and no experience of like performing at a high level. And that's football heritage. That he's talking about levels.
Yeah.
And this is the level that the players were at the time, which is what, second round of the Champions League?
Yeah.
No, these were quarterfinals.
Quarterfinal.
Yeah. We were huge favorites and they lost the game. We will talk about it further in the next slides. I will, give you some context.
Dora?
I mean, look, I am a bit biased because I absolutely love Jose Mourinho. And, I don't think 7 years ago, I don't think he could say anything that I would say, oh my God, that's a bad statement. I absolutely loved him. But I mean, I agree, right? You have, as you guys said, you have some freak results, Leicester, you would argue, some other teams. I mean, even Porto in 2004 were kind of a freak thing, even though they won Champions League, but they were huge in that moment in time. But, they were young squad, very organized, and they won, against some, juggernauts. They won against United, which in semifinals, which was huge. They won. They've beaten Monaco, great team. Dado Pršo was a great, the best attacker in the Europe. I'm just kidding, but that Monaco team was great, and I think he gives a great point here, but I think most of them, I think mostly it's not just the skill. I think the mentality is what he is trying to say here, and I think that squad that he had during that time when we bombed out of the Champions League against Sevilla, I think the mentality lacked a lot, and we will talk about that game. So let's start. So I don't. I think it's a great quote, but let's give some context. So this was after the UEFA Champions League round of 16. We played at 7:45 p.m. Tuesday, 13th of March 2018. So think about it. Where were you in 2018? This game was played at Old Trafford, and we had almost 75 people attending. As you can see, United, Lukaku scored for United at 84th minute. Sevilla won by with 2 goals by Ben Yedder, who came from the bench. By the way, he wasn't even starting the game. He came from the bench and he scored 2 goals. And
yeah, he's going to be on a different bench very, very soon, isn't he?
Yeah, he will. He absolutely will. As you can see, we lost to aggregate 1-2, which means that United, I think, drew 0-0 against Sevilla in the first game. So let's see what starting 11 we dished out that game. As you can see, we started with David De Gea, Antonio Valencia, who I assume started as a right back. He was a captain that game. Eric Bailly, who United at that moment in time absolutely loved. We already knew at that moment in time that he was a bit big, but we thought he was very talented. Chris Smalling, Ashley Young was a left back. And then we venture in the midfield and we see Marouane Fellaini, Nemanja Matic. We see, I assume Jesse Lingard was like a number 10, or maybe he was a right winger. I don't know. I forgot which formation he put out. I think it was 4-2-3-1 or something like that. With Rashford, Sanchez, and Lukaku in front. And if you compare these two teams, like this Sevilla team, for example, it's not bad. Ever Banega and Zonzi, everyone wanted him. Sarabia was very good. Lenglet, before he started getting injured. You have you have Correa, you have Muriel. Like those weren't scrubs, but we were huge favorites that game. And yeah, we couldn't win it. Let's see who was on the bench that game. Well, as you can see, Victor Lindelof was on the bench. Pogba didn't start the game. We will talk about it later a bit about Pogba during that time. Juan Mata, who was mostly used as a right winger throughout most of his. We can agree throughout most of his United career, he was used as a right winger, which to me is a travesty because he was a very talented number 10. Anthony Martial didn't start as well. We had Romero, we have Matteo Darmian, if you remember, and young favorite of Jose Mourinho, Scott McTominay. As you can see, Pogba, Mata, and Martial, I think they got subbed in the second half. Let's see who we have. So the stats are kind of, similar. I don't know if you guys see anything. I'm sorry about that. This is a screenshot, of course. So if you can see, we had 21 shots. They had 7. We have 17 shots. They had 21. I would argue that we had kind of similar chances, but I think our biggest problem was shots on target. And as you can see later in the post-reaction, moments, the lack of urgency. It felt like the team didn't want to win that game, and it was what it is. Do you guys remember that game at all?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Omondi, do you remember how did you feel after that game? Have you felt like the team didn't give it all? That Jose Mourinho put out the team that didn't work? That oh my God, he left Pogba on the bench. If he started, maybe we would win. What were your thoughts?
Well, it's more so now. Looking at it now, reflecting with hindsight. I mean, at the time, I was disappointed. I remember Ben Yedder scoring those creative goals, and it really sort of. I remember what I remember a lot is going getting cussed the next day about this Ben Yedder, who is this guy scoring against you, knocking you out the cup. Looking at the team lineup there, Dora, we should have won the game. We had the better players. But this, once again, maybe comes down to attitude of the teams. Seville have always been a good unit. They work hard for each other. They brought a guy in like Nzonzi, who's come from Stoke, I believe, and smashed it. I remember he was brilliant in the first round in the 0-0. He was brilliant, Pogba, and looked like $1 million, you know. So they are playing as a good team, and they got unity, and they played together, and they win together, and they certainly did. They came to Old Trafford and got the result. But when you look at our team, we should, in theory, be winning. And I think this is the pressure that Mourinho's under, because he's thinking to himself, we've got a better team, better players here, but I can't get a tune out of them. And we're saying that today. We're only saying that a few weeks ago, again, with the managers can't get a tune out of the players. So I think this, even though it's, 8 years ago or 6 years ago,
yeah,
I still think this represents the issues that we have at Man United Football Club, that we've got good players, but they're not gelling, they're not united, they're not playing for each other, and losing games they should be winning, and being fearful. I remember, look, we only turned it up once we went a couple of goals down and scored a late goal and tried to push it, but they outplayed us. Look at the data there, look at the stats, they outplayed us. So Mourinho would be vexed to think, he'd be looking at, before the draw, when the draw was made, he would be saying to himself, we can beat this Seville side, we've got the players, we just need to get the attitude right, and they didn't do it. So it always comes to the manager, which is why I feel he made this statement to say, this ain't me this time, guys. We got a better team here. You'll look at the heritage soon. You'll soon see that what's done in the dark will come to light. A certain man that are playing in this team here ain't got the right attitude to be professional players, without calling them out. And I think that's it down to the attitude, which is still stinking out the place right now.
Interesting. Bedtime. How do you feel about this game? Because I mean, we are obviously covering it, so I think it is important for United and what United represents right now. How do you feel about this game and everything that happened?
I think, like, rather than the game, the moment that I really remember is there's two. One is that, like, I think you have it here actually, that Yedder, look what time he came on at.
Yeah.
72nd minute, yeah. And then he's got 2 goals within less than 6 minutes.
Yeah,
like that's not great, is it? But what I tend to remember is that in Spain, I think Luis Muriel, the little Colombian, he had a really, really good chance, a header, and De Gea made an absolutely top save from him, and we came into the game 0-0. And I remember thinking that I wouldn't have actually minded that goal to have gone in, because in the first leg it was diabolical, that game. It was like Louis van Gaal's December. We didn't attack, we didn't do anything, and Jose just this sort of like resort to not conceding a goal and hoping to pinch it. I didn't like it. Like, I felt that we played with a complete lack of cohesion and a complete lack of courage, like in that game in particular. It was really upsetting, to be honest, because I mean we'd done okay against Bayern Munich with Moyes. Do you remember? Like, was it Evra that scored an absolute worldie, like, to put us ahead? And that was kind of the only thing that kept us going. In those days was a European performance. So to go out into the quarterfinals against, a Sevilla that hadn't really established themselves as a sort of really annoying European team, like we created a monster in this game. But yeah, I was disappointed by it.
Yeah, I remember actually that game. I watched it. It was, as you guys said, it was very disappointing. I really felt like, we were kind of okay in the league that season. I think we finished second, which I will talk about a bit later. But I felt like, okay, it was March. We are still in the Champions League. We have a chance to actually do something with this squad. And this wasn't a scrub team, in my opinion. As Amonte said, like, this was, first of all, very expensive team. It had promising players, but it also had established senior players, Sanchez, Pogba, you could say, De Gea. You really had, really good players in this team that, in my opinion, were better than Sevilla. And in the end, I think it started to crack there. I think this is the game which started the downfall of Jose Mourinho at United, and yeah, which is unfortunate. I really liked him. I really liked him. He is probably my favorite post Sir Alex Ferguson manager, which is controversial for some people. But as you guys know, I love temperamental people. I love people that are just don't give a shit about anything. And Mourinho, with success that he had, combined with his temperament and everything else, I mean, I love those people. If you didn't know this. So content of the game, I think we kind of covered that. Covered it. First game left to the 0-0 draw. As bad time said, it was boring as like it was insanely underwhelming. In two legs, apparently United registered only 4 shots on target. Most of it, 3 shots on target was in the second game. This loss led to United dropping out of the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. Ben Yedder dominated, and this was the game where we considered most shots at Old Trafford since Real Madrid in 2013. We considered 21 shots. So imagine. So, and of course, I remembered, Onana being in the targeting practice last season. Yeah, who would have thought, Ten Hag again, breaking very bad records. But yeah, this was the most that we considered Old Trafford in Champions League since Real Madrid, which is another game that is really painful to think about. That 2013, I hated that game. But yeah, let's see. So Mourinho, what he said post-match. Of course, everybody is sad. I told the players in the dressing room, I'm happy with this sadness, which to me is, once again, another iconic Mourinho quote. And yeah, you could feel that, after the, in my opinion, very bad performance of United, very low energy, it felt like something is starting to break in the locker room. I don't know, guys, how you feel about this, because this is the season after we won the Europa League, we won the double cup thingy, or how Mourinho said, a treble with the Community Shield. The season before, Zlatan Ibrahimovic left the club. He was like a senator or general in the locker room. After he left, it felt like the other guys started taking over the locker room. Do you feel like do you feel that with Zlatan leaving, which was his right-hand man, I would say, or Jose Mourinho in the locker room, that was one of the factors why everything started to break, Zlatan leaving the club? Do you think this was one of the reasons why everything fell apart?
No, not for me. Just going back to this quote here, he said here, everybody's sad, and I told the players in the dressing room, I'm happy with the sadness. To me, that's saying, yeah, you should be sad, and I'm happy that you're sad, because that shows, that you need to step it up. There's clearly underlying issue here, and it's a shame he wasn't probed more about what's going on here, because I think he would have revealed a few more gems, with his quotes. And we can only take a little bit from this quote, to sort of, I'm trying to speculate what he was trying to really point out here. But I just think I think overall, like I said earlier in the previous slide, I think he's disappointed with some of the players. He's got Pogba on the bench, Martial on the bench in their prime, not performing. He's not happy with them, and he's put them on the bench for this game. They've lost. They're sad, but are they really sad? He's come in and said, "I'm happy that they're sad." He's kind of like saying, "Damn right, I don't give a damn about you guys. You're letting me down, and I'm glad you cry. Yeah, you cry. It's like with a child, isn't it? Sometimes they have to sulk and cry, and you let them cry. You don't console them when they made a mistake. You let them cry out so they can learn a lesson from it. And I think this is Mourinho's always got these sort of indirect lessons he's trying to point out here. Regarding Zlatan, I think Zlatan was a good player, but I recall when he was there, everyone was complaining he wasn't working the channels. We need a bit more from him. Obviously, he scored a few nice goals. But we have to be realistic. I mean, I love him as a player, but when he was at Man United, he wasn't able to do the work. And I remember feeling frustrated that he was just not doing enough work, not closing down because of his age, and we would have had to have changed everything about the way we play. So I wasn't too disappointed that he left. He had another injury, if you recall, which I thought, well, he's not going to be running any more than he was before, with that injury. He was on crutches in the final previous year. So I don't think the loss of Zlatan had any bearing on us going out in the Champions League to Seville in the quarterfinal. I just think Zlatan was, on the slide, and we needed some more better runners in the team up front. And we had Lukaku, but Lukaku was giving you a bit more, I believe, than Zlatan at that time. So I don't think Zlatan had any impact in the decline of Man United.
What are your thoughts, Bethan? Do you think? I mean, can we what? Let's look at the comments, because I think that some of them have good good points. Before we go to you, Bethan, can you showcase some of them? Can you read the comments, Bethan, please?
I can. Is there any in particular that you would like?
I mean, Bart is saying here that José lost Rui Faria, which to me also was a great factor of him, losing his right hand man, and his football wasn't necessarily the best. I mean, it wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing before, but with him leaving and the tactical thing, everything else kind of started falling apart. What is Bella saying? Dora, I'm planning to write the script for The Haunting of Chorluka, and I need some help. Well, good luck with that one, Bella. Good luck with that one. Was that season? I think he did. I think he said that, he just, what did he say? I think he said
he needed a brain or something. He had to be his brain.
Yeah, he was very harsh, and I think but wasn't he in that season even probably one of the? I think he was one of our best players. Wasn't he a player of the year or something? Luke Shaw by the fans, or like very weird situation. Yeah, he and Shaw. He didn't like Shaw and his mentality, I would say. V says Mourinho's reasons for wanting Martial out were understandable, but then he signed Lukaku, who was even more lazy. This made him lose credibility. Yeah, like I'm trying to remember Lukaku. Like, I mean, he was supposed to be a goal scoring machine, right? But it kind of, he scored quite a lot for United, but in the end, it didn't matter that much, unfortunately. Steph says, I remember this game watched in the pub. We had no legs in the midfield, just muscle, Fellaini and Matic. Yeah, we had two towers in the middle. Chatsport says, I'd take Zlatan now. Yeah, he's a bit rusty, but yeah, I love Zlatan. I think he's a cool player. Like, I didn't mind him, honestly. I know Mondi said, but I didn't mind him that season when he came here. I think he helped us a lot. Andrew, watching the highlights of the game. Oh, what highlights, by the way? What highlights? That game was very boring and very lackluster. The first goal looked difficult to defend, second was sloppy set piece. Yeah, typical United, that's set pieces. And item service or Bella. Pogba was terrible in this game. Yeah, Pogba was, started, sulking a lot. Yeah, he only played 15 minutes. Yeah, that's a good point. We can continue on because we have a treat for you guys. This is the best part of the show where you can actually, we will talk about the players a bit. Let's see what we. Okay, post-match reactions. I forgot about this slide. So yeah, disappointing loss, lack of urgency, obvious favorites in the game, lost Sevilla. Lukaku was isolated most of the game. He couldn't do anything. Then he scores in the 84th minute after the players, the players waited for 84 minutes to do something. That game, the player was Eric Bailly, the ninja of the United's center back. I remember people were saying, "Oh my God, he's so talented. He's so fast. He has so much potential." Yeah. I mean, I would say yeah. Pogba left on the bench. Problems started to surface. As we know, problems with the locker room started to surface. The click of Lingard, Pogba, and everything. And Martial even apparently even Luke Shaw, saying that they turned their backs to Jose Mourinho, which in the end it kind of didn't surprise us, right? He didn't like them, and he didn't like them, and they didn't like him. Let's see. Where are they now?
Yes.
Let's see. Okay, so ignore these goalkeepers. Yeah. So For this, I chose only the players that played during that game. So the Henry Mkhitaryan, who was probably injured, no, he was at Arsenal. Like we already did the Sanchez and Mkhitaryan swap. But yeah, some of the players were injured that game, and I honestly didn't include them. Uh, maybe in the next show, but I focused on the players that actually played against Seville. Goalkeepers. David De Gea, I would argue one of the best goalkeepers of Manchester United. Guys, can you agree? And I would even argue that he is probably our legend, I would say, when it comes to goalkeepers. Like, people are going to say third best after Schmeichel and Van der Sar. How do you guys feel about that statement?
Well,
I disagree strongly. Strongly. I think Romero is a better goalkeeper than De Gea in this time point. Look, he was really, really good. Like when we were terrible, De Gea, but to put him like near Schmeichel, Van der Sar, like other goalkeepers from the past, I mean, he ranks sort of around Jim Leighton for me. But Schmeichel and Van der Sar are the two. They're the two on Mount Rushmore for me, and De Gea is, he's working the gift shop at the bottom.
Oh my God, very harsh bedtime. What do you say, Amandi?
Yeah, I really agree with what Bath Time said. He played for us during that period, didn't win any titles. You can't compare him to Schmeichel. Schmeichel was like big time influential during the time when Fergie was winning titles. He would make some magnificent saves. He had a presence, he had character, and he was a nutter, like good goalkeepers should be. And in a one-on-one situation, he could throw the ball out. He was confident. All these things. I don't think De Gea displayed. He came to the club quite young and fragile, and you can never really get over that. You should come to the club and not be vulnerable, because that would always come back to haunt you. And there's always a question mark in everyone's mind about him. Just look at he never saved a penalty in the Villarreal shootout, when there's an opportunity for the goalkeeper to step up and do something. I was very frustrated with him. But like,
he didn't save a penalty for 4 years.
Well, there you go. Why, good. I mean, sometimes, they say it's save for the cameras, like Peter Shilton needs to do, save for the cameras. That's what De Gea used to do. Like, because he's short, he'd be jumping, it would look good. But I just don't think he had the presence or confidence to be a great keeper. And it shows when he left the club, he was out for a year. No one picked him up until this season. So I don't think people can say what they want, but in my opinion, he doesn't, he can't lace the boots of Schmeichel or Van der Sar. And he's more for me, I think Mark Bosnich, Barthez got more heritage than him.
Wow. Oh my God!
Barthez, yes, but
Mark Bosnich, come on.
Is a very good goalkeeper for me.
I think that's a bit harsh, Amandi.
He got arrested on his wedding day for a bit of Charlie, and didn't he get dug out the other day with people saying that he's generally the worst trainer that United have ever had? Like, I think Scholesy might have said that.
I'm just looking at heritage. I think at Aston Villa, Mark Bosnich would prove himself to be one of the best goalkeepers in the league. He really was a good goalkeeper. So no one was complaining when we signed him. It's just unfortunate other issues stopped him from really showing how good he was. I thought he was a top goalkeeper. But anyway, sorry.
No, I don't like De Gea as a goalkeeper, and I felt that he never developed his game, and he didn't show enough like leadership by sort of developing with the times. But I'm not having him ahead, like behind Mark Bosnich. Like, even that's a step too far for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I strongly disagree with both of you. I think that De Gea he had 2 seasons where he was, and I know you guys all talk about, the way they play with their feet. At that moment in time, Neuer I think when, he went to Bayern, he started playing insanely good football. I would argue him and De Gea were, top 2 goalkeepers in the world in form. he saved us a lot. I mean, at the end of the day, he still won Premier League. He won 2 FA Cups. He won the Europa League. Like, it's not like he was without any trophies. And I think that, from, I would argue, 2015 to 2017, so that's like maybe 2-3 seasons, he was unplayable. I mean, even that season, right? We are talking about 2017 2018 season. Remember that game at Emirates? Like,
Yeah.
I know. I mean, he was insane. Saying that game, people are still talking about it. And this wasn't his only, insane game. He had multiple great games for us, and I mean, he was four times Player of the Year. I get it, but at the end of the day, I think people are kind of harsh on him when they look back on his career at United. I loved him at United. I think he was a great goalkeeper. But yeah, maybe it's like the perspective of a younger fan. I mean, maybe I didn't see a lot of Fabian Barthez or someone else to say, "Oh my God," they're about. I mean, even I cannot agree with you on that point. But what about Sergio Romero? Like, do you remember that's when Romero came in? Like, there was this whole, debate. Romero is starting, the cup games. De Gea is in the Premier League, but at one point in time during those seasons, Romero was in form. He was in better form than De Gea, and even Romero started that Europa League final. He was great. We won that trophy. How do you guys feel about Romero? I think at one point people were saying he was the best second goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah, I just goes to show once again, De Gea, and going back on my point, De Gea was number one for years, and in a period where we didn't really, win titles or major trophies or anything like that, and he was always tested. So this guy Sergio Romero is a good goalkeeper, very good goalkeeper, as proven. He built him up really well there. Talking about the run in the Europa League, really leading to the win over the Ajax, in the final. And but he never got to be the main man, and I just think that's because De Gea was always going to be that guy regardless. And you remember when Henderson started to test De Gea, because there was always cracks. Someone had to come along and say, actually, look, this guy's not who we think he is. And for some reason, we feel that he's got to be the number one. He can't be tested. But when we did bring Henderson in, Henderson proved to be he's on par with him, if not better. This is why I go back to say, anyone who watched Aston Villa back in the day, Mark Bosnich was a flipping good goalkeeper. And I'm not. You might look at his career and say, "Oh, he didn't do it" or whatever. But as a goalkeeper, with his attributes, I think he's better than De Gea. That's just my opinion. But yeah, Sergio Romero, unfortunately, is one of these guys. Like you said, the quote there being the best number two. The best number two should get the opportunity to be the best number one, and he never did, because I just think politics within the club. De Gea was always going to be that guy, and that's why you have to leave. Imagine being a third choice goalkeeper. Who is it? Tom Heaton now. What? I mean, you are going to be rusty as hell with first team football, because it's very rare that goalkeepers get injured or you have to come in. So I just think it's really disappointing to see a quality goalkeeper like Sergio Romero not able on quality. I think he had quality to kick De Gea out the side, but he wasn't able to do it because of politics, in my opinion.
Yeah. BT, what about you?
Well, I'm very surprised Yama keeps bringing up Mark Bosnich and his stellar career at Aston Villa, when there was another goalkeeper that was behind De Gea that has one of the most impressive CVs in football, which was Victor Valdez, if you remember him. Yeah. Came from Barcelona, and I would have wanted Valdez or Romero ahead of De Gea. I think Agile Beast earlier, whose profile picture looks a lot like the guy. Like, have you seen that ref video? Doesn't that look like the bloke that's like in the ref video?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, nice one, Agile Beast.
Yeah, he's a whistleblower.
Nice.
Can't trust your friends. Who can you trust?
Yeah, but I mean, for me, I think that sorry, Agile Beast. This one here, I thought it was really, really poor that like Romero was the goalkeeper through the majority of the cup runs, and then was taken out in the finals and things. He was a good goalkeeper, and I don't know. I was always very surprised that it's De Gea. I didn't know what it would take for him to be taken out of the team. To be honest, at points, like, I mean, obviously against Arsenal, he was incredible. Like that's one of the greatest performances from a goalkeeper in the Premier League. But I mean, against like Everton, the collector's items, the errors he made. I feel very sorry for Sergio Romero, like, because like De Gea performed like Anthony quite a lot of the time as a goalkeeper and stayed in, and I think Romero. If he'd come into the team after poor performances, we might have seen a bit more motivation from De Gea to improve aspects of his game that ultimately, made him lose a year of his career.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Valdez, he played only 2 games for United, okay? And then he went to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, he went to Middlesbrough.
And he went to Middlesbrough, and he retired. So, he's a bit out of the question. I remember he conceded 1 goal which went through him, and I'm like, okay, he's washed. I literally said he's washed.
Would you say him or Bosnich?
Valdez, I'm talking about. Well, I don't remember Mark Bosnich, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, what do you think, where are they now? So, do you know where De Gea is right now?
Yes.
Fiorentina, is he?
How do you think he's doing?
I heard sometimes news comes out. I don't watch Italian football, but I heard he's had a couple of good games. But he's not at the top end, is he? He's only goalkeepers can go on to almost 40. So I wouldn't say he should be in his prime, but he's not playing top end football, and he's not being renowned anymore. His stock's gone down. Regardless of where you play, you should still be a top goalkeeper. And I just think he's showing his level where he's really at right now, because no one wanted him. So really disappointing to see, no desire to get a club. He took a year out or whatever he did. Garner's, I don't know. It just surprises me. And I never really rated him. I just don't think he's got the balls and the character. That's it. He hasn't got the character and the balls that I like to see in professional footballers. The courage, and all that kind of thing. So all those mental attributes that you want to see, he hasn't got it. He's playing at Fiorentina. Wishing him the best of luck. But for me, he would never be a top United legend goalkeeper. And I stand by what I say about the goalkeepers I think were better than him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that De Gea has done really well in Italy from what I've seen. I saw a stat the other day. He's got more assists than quite a lot of players in our team. He's saved some penalties and so on. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that to Jose's point about football heritage, De Gea was one of the only players coming from the sort of Ferguson era, as it were, with titles and things. But it's, I think, a mid-table club in Italy. I mean, there are others who have gone to Italy for bigger clubs and have sort of done more. So De Gea's got some catching up to do with some of the other players in the squad.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what you just said there, Bartone, there's others gone to Italy for bigger clubs. Who's the Polish goalkeeper who's played for Arsenal?
Szczesny.
He went to Juve and was the main guy for a long period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair.
He's not viewed as better as De Gea, but maybe he is.
Maybe. I mean, I have a conspiracy theory about De Gea, which is I think it's incredible that he was out for a year. I wonder if there's something else at play, that he's out for a year, and then to go with his reputation to turn up at Fiorentina. I wonder if other things are sort of going on with De Gea, and we might see him at the end of the season move to a bigger club, because he does have a huge reputation in football. And I mean, Donnarumma is an absolute bollocks at PSG. I think that De Gea would be better than him. Yeah,
look, guys in the comments, I'll just say, guys don't agree with me, but I love De Gea. Okay, I love him. I think he was one of my favorite players. So yeah, listen to me, not them. Listen to me, not them. What do you guys think about Sergio Romero? Can you remember what happened to him after playing for United? Do you remember, Monty? Do you know where he is now? Do you even know if he's active?
Got no idea. I'd love to.
It's at
Yeah.
Boca.
Okay,
It's at Boca with Cavani.
Oh, okay, cool. So, what do you guys can I reveal, and then we can
Yes.
read the comments? Yay! Oh yeah, David De Gea active. By the way, Fiorentina is third in the league. Juventus is cruising right now, but Fiorentina are third in the league, and they are playing really well. So we can argue blah blah blah, mid-step, but they are doing really well, and I think that he is part of that. So kudos to David De Gea, after a 1-year pause to actually be playing on the high level, because I think Serie A is a high level of football. Romero is still active, by the way. His current club is Boca Juniors. He played for United until 2021, and he won a league in Argentina, which is great. So kudos to him. This is football heritage. This is what Jose was talking about. He won something, and I think he's 37, 38 years old. He's still playing really well. So yeah, kudos to him. And he's still a record. I think he still has a record of most caps for Argentinian national team as a goalkeeper, more than around 90 or something or more. So probably Emi Martinez is probably going to get him up there. But yeah, so that's a cool thing. Let's go. Defenders. So as you could see, guys, so defenders we played in that game was Ashley Young, Lindelof, Valencia, Chris/Mike/Smalling, Chris Mike Smalling, Eric Bailly, and Matteo Darmian. Let's discuss these guys. Which of these players are your favorite players? I would say. I mean, there isn't that many, great players here, I would say, but which one of them, you thought, okay, this guy is going to be amazing for United, or I love this guy, I want him to succeed. Omondi, let's start with you. Who did you rate from this bunch on the slide?
Well, just quick, I'll be summarized very quickly. It would be Valencia for me. Valencia, great athlete. He's hungry for it. He came over. Steve Bruce brought him to Wigan, signed for Man United as a winger, converted to a fullback by this point when he's playing for Seville, and no frills, kick and run, pace, brute power. But it's a great club man to have in the club. I believe Valencia was really consistent, and he'd whip in crosses and he'd take on his man. And when he was playing in defence, he converted, didn't complain, converted to that like a duck to water, and became. I'd love to have him as a right back right now. Just shows what the qualities he has. He's got pace. He's got a good attitude. He's got good technique as well from playing as a winger. So for me, he would be my favourite player out of these guys here. Just to say, I thought Bailey at some point, he turned my head. I thought, okay, let's see what this guy's got, but he's failed with injury. And I've seen Chris Smalling play live, and I just think he's immense. The amount of headers he was winning. I went to a game against West Ham, and I was just so impressed. Like every ball that came over, he didn't even have to say his name. He was just boom, boom, boom. He's like a titan out there. That really impressed me seeing him close up. And I think sometimes you have to see these players in the flesh playing to really appreciate how good or immense they are. But for me, Valencia was a great athlete and the best player, I think, in this group of players there with heritage.
Yeah. Bitty, what about you? Which of these players you rated a lot?
I like three of them. I like Ashley Young, I like Valencia, and I like Smalling. And they're all the football heritage players. They're all from Ferguson, aren't they? Like Mike Smalling, famously, I think he went from non-league to Fulham, and then we paid like 10 million for him, like out of the reserve. So I've got a lot of respect for that. I have to say that Eric Bailly looks beautifully balanced in that photo. Like,
I knew it. That's why I picked it. That's why I wanted you to comment on it.
Look at that. It looks like a sculpture there, that balance. Like, I thought, I was excited by Bailey, I think, because he could have been someone like Rudiger or something like that, like mobile, good at defending central areas and wide areas, but he was just a bit too mental, to be honest. Like all the breakdancing on the pitch.
Yeah.
Darmian, I thought was like squad player. I remember we had someone called, was it Alex Butner that Fergie signed? I thought he was just going to be like him. He was going to be a face that would stick around for a couple of years, do a job, so on. Like decent player. Lindelof, I was quite excited about at the time because he came with a massive reputation from Portugal. Like, he's meant to be like the best centre half, and you got to remember that Jose's players like Maniche and Carvalho, and there was someone else there was some other midfielder that I liked from Portugal that Jose had. I can't remember him now.
Deco.
No, not Deco. He was a defensive midfielder.
Okay. Scored against us to knock us out. And
yeah, who was that?
I forget his name now. Yeah,
Moutinho.
João Moutinho. Wow, really? Oh yeah.
It might have been Moutinho. Carvalho.
Ricardo Carvalho was a centre back, I think.
He was the black guy who scored when they beat us at home.
Yeah.
We ran down touchline.
Yeah.
Look at this. Butner got a brace on his debut. I never knew that.
Him and Nick Powell, remember that? And then they disappeared from the face of the earth.
Nick Powell for Juan Mata is one of the weirdest substitutions of all time. It's up there with Mazraoui at number 10. But yeah, look, three of them were ones that I liked because they were the heritage players. And I think you can kind of see from their, we know where all these players have gone, and we know what they've done. And there's two in the middle that haven't done an awful lot.
Yeah. So when we signed Ashley Young in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, he scored 2 amazing goals against on his debut against Arsenal in that 8-2 game, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember. I think that was one of the games where he not his debut game, but it was an insane game. Yeah, I was very excited about Ashley Young because he had those curlers and everything else. And people are going to say, "Oh my God, where's the captain ever?" Blah blah. I always felt he was a good player for Manchester United, especially during the times where we were kind of underwhelming. I always felt remember when he pocketed Mo Salah at the left back. Bart will remember. I remember it very well. I think he had some great games for United, and I remember them vividly and fondly. And he played everywhere. He played right back, left back. He played left wing, which is insane, right? Lindelof, I liked him as you Betam said. I liked him from Benfica, but in the end, he just he disappointed me. I think in his debut, he got wrestled by Samuel Rondon against was it West Bromwich Albion or Newcastle or someone. I think Huddersfield Town, he had a mare in that first game. People, United fans, I remember, it was, a stripe. I think blue-white striped kit was involved, and I think that was Huddersfield Town or West Bromwich Albion or something like that, and he got ripped apart. So yeah, not very good stuff for United. He had, some good moments, but not. Valencia under Van Gaal, probably one of the best right backs in the Premier League, which was insane to see. I think he was a good, good player for Manchester United. Chris Smalling, I remember the statement from Sir Alex Ferguson, him and Phil Jones. Chris Smalling and Phil Jones are going to be the future of the England national team. They are going to be the future centre backs, Rio and Terry or something like that. And yeah, unfortunately, injuries and the potential that never came through was they never fulfilled it, unfortunately, especially Phil Jones, who was so constantly injured. I always felt he was an athletic beast. He had some good perks, but I think he was insane, honestly, clinically insane. And Darmian is kind of meh. I think he had some good fundamentals as a player, being from Serie A, but he was just underwhelming to me. I think that Premier League was too much for him, unfortunately.
It's very surprising, where his career has taken him. Darmian for me. I think that there was a player I think Marco Materazzi, the guy that Zidane headed in the World Cup final. I think he was absolutely dreadful at Everton. Some players just they don't make it, do they? We've had Falan and things, and I think Darmian might have been one of these players that we never really understood how good he was based off. He's got an incredible CV.
Yeah, he does. He really does. I actually looked up, like, I mean, he's 30 something year, like he's starting for Italy non-stop as well. Like it's he had, he has a very good CV, as you said. Can we go to the comments? I forgot to read comments after the goalkeeper section, and I'm so sorry. This is my first time. So BT, can you showcase some of
Yes.
the comments so we can read?
I've highlighted some for you. So Mark Bosnich was not someone I was expecting to come up so often this evening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andrew said Fabianski, which was
Yeah.
wrong, but it allowed Steph to nip in at the back post and say Flappy Hansky, which I quite like.
Yeah.
Andrew is talking about DGG would be better than him, but he's worse than Donnarumma. This is probably my brain damage again. I meant to say that I think David De Gea is a better goalkeeper than Donnarumma, who I think is dreadful.
Yeah.
I did say that, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Steph is congratulating you on your hosting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steph. You're very kind.
There's lots of comments about where players are now. So I've kind of ignored them because I think a few people have been on Google signing.
Or they just follow football bedtime. Don't be rude to people, okay? Don't be rude.
Yeah.
Are we going to reveal? Oh, go on.
This one surprised me. Darmian, the worst on this list. And he's gone on to have the best career, hasn't he?
Yeah, I would argue from all of these people, it's either Lindelof or Eric Bailly, because Young has, as you guys said, football heritage. Valencia has football heritage. He won the league with us. Smalling won the league with us. Darmian, he is doing insanely well at Italy. And Eric Bailly, what did he do after? And we will talk about it right now after you read the comments.
Steph is asking, where's Phil Jones in all of this? Was he injured for this match as well?
Yeah, he was, unfortunately for him. Oh my God. Poor guy.
Matty has turned up.
Yeah.
Chat Sport, Young was good. Bilal liked Young as well. This one I was quite shocked about. Ashley Young has a pretty average touch. Thought Ashley Young was one of our best technicians. Rondon was at West Bromwich Albion.
Yeah, that game.
We've got 14 likes. And Andrew is saying, did Darmian ever have a good game for us? Which
it's very hard to remember. I think he had one or two solid games for us, but he didn't start that much for United. I would just say that.
I agree. I genuinely, but I'm absolutely shocked at the career that man has had. Like, I'd never have thought it.
Even you're right there. Like watching him today playing for Inter Milan, I think sometimes managers like you, and you can be trusted. It shows you can be trusted by the managers. He's obviously got something that we can't see. We're trashing players here, but we don't know about their personality or their characteristics. It doesn't really show. Especially we didn't have enough time with Darmian to sort of witness that. But there's a reason why we signed him, and I think it was to do with more his character than his ability, because he's still playing today. Another player like that I'm surprised to see is Mkhitaryan. We sort of done a swap deal to get Sanchez in, but he had a great spell in Germany, in Dortmund, and Klopp, and he's still playing today and still performing at a high end. So he's another player who's got heritage, who we sort of a bit like the Forlan thing, who we never really rated because we didn't keep him at the club.
Yeah, I mean,
did Darmian play as a right back or was he a centre back?
Right back.
He played right back. He played mostly right back.
He couldn't get Valencia out of the team, and I can kind of understand that because I'm not as huge a fan as Valencia as Yabra is. I thought he was a great player, but but you'd rate him really highly. But
he's not a right back, is he? He's not a right back. But he impacted Valencia.
Yeah, but he was right back at this period in time, and he was so fast and strong, and like we didn't have much coming from the right. Like the idea of like he was kind of there to cover Mata a bit. And I think it's difficult to get Antonio Valencia, who was probably the captain at the time, out of that team for Darmian. But it's interesting that of all our sons from this area, Damian is the one that really went on to do great things.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to reveal where these players
Yes, please.
went on to be? Yes. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, as you guys know, Valencia retired in 2021. He played for United until 2019. He ended up in the Ecuadorian League, LDU Quito. And, correct me, BT, on my very poor Spanish or any type of Spanish pronunciation. Querétaro FC.
Not bad.
Oh, not bad. Thank you. I mean, I watched a lot of telenovelas, so when I was younger, so I know my Spanish. So Querétaro is it's a team in the Mexico. After that, he retired, and apparently Bart said it in the comments earlier that the funny one, Andrew, that he's now a coach of a second Ecuadorian team. Yeah, in the second in the lower tier of football. So which is cool, right? He's
he's the owner.
Right. Oh yeah, he's the owner. Oh, that's good news. Yeah, we all love Valencia. I liked him as a player. So Mateo Darmian is an active player. He played for United until 2019. He went to Parma, and then he got loaned to Inter Milan, and then Inter Milan bought him permanently. And there he won Serie A, Coppa d'Italia. He won a lot of things. I think he, as you guys know, he was in the Champions League finals with Onana and the rest of them, which is
Euros?
Amazing. He wasn't in the squad for the Euros that they won.
Okay.
He was in 2014 squad for the World Cup. He was, I think, in France 2016 and in the recent one in the Euros. So he skipped the 2020 Euros, which is he was probably injured or something. But yeah. So yeah,
I might be overrating his career then, to be honest, because has he just won Serie A?
Serie A, Serie A and their national cup. So it's not insane, but I think it's more than, for example, someone like Eric Bailly. Unfortunately for him, he played until 2023. During as you guys know, he got injured a lot. We loaned him in 2022. We loaned him to Marseille, where he played 7 games, and then he almost killed a man on the pitch.
Yeah.
With his kung fu kick. He got suspended for 7 games. I think he played 20 or maybe 15 to 20 games for Marseille. He got back to United, and then we permanently sold him to Besiktas. Or he was at to Besiktas, and then he played very little for Besiktas. He got injured. Funny. So I read this. I read a lot about this. So apparently, Eric Bailly and 3 other players in that Turkish squad in 2023, got literally banished from the squad because they played poorly for 3 games, and they terminated his contract by the end of the 2023, and now he's signed. I think he's signed for Villarreal until 2025, which is cool for him. That he revived his career, and I think he played 20 games for Villarreal. So yeah, that's cool. But he got terminated at Besiktas, which is very, very strange. Chris/Mike Smalling is still active. He played for United in 2019. We loaned him out to Roma, but then they bought him permanently. He played under Jose. He had some good games. I think he was very solid. In the Italy, he had some. Of course, he in real Smalling fashion, he had some. He made mistakes a bit, but mostly he was very solid. People loved him there. And then he's currently in Al Faiha or something like that.
Is he Saudi?
Yeah, unfortunately, he is a Saudi baby now. He played only 2 games. I think he got a red card in the first game, which is insane. And yeah, he didn't play much, but he's still playing. But in Saudi Arabia.
Did he win the European Cup, like, or the Conference League or whatever at Roma?
Okay, I need to check because I don't know when the.
Okay, someone will tell us. Someone will tell us. But
Someone will tell us, but I think so. I think Roma won. Yeah, you're actually right. Roma won the first iteration of the Conference
that's
League.
massive. Like Chris Smalling is like legitimately a Roma legend. Like, because that's I think that's their first ever silverware in Europe. I remember he got rave reviews in Italy. Like, he grew that. He had like dreadlocks and stuff, and he was like just beating people up. I think they loved him out there. And I always liked Smalling a lot, and I'm pleased that he went on and has like made a good career and a really good name for himself, like in a different league. Well done, Mike.
Yeah, and Ashley Young, as we know, he's 39 years old. Next season, he's going to, be 40 years old. He went to Inter Milan. He played for us until 2020. He won the Serie A, which is, to me, under Conte, right? It's insane. He played as a wing back. He returned to Aston Villa. I think he came seventh with Villa, which is insane. And he actually, featured a lot in the team. And now he's at Everton. He's really good. Monty, what do you think about that? Have you ever felt like Eshrang is going to play until he's 40 years old?
It's
at a high level.
Which is there's things we don't know about players. It's down to the player, isn't it? I mean, having heard him speak and seen interviews with him, he's very professional. He speaks well. He's had a great experience going out to Italy. He talks about that really highly, about how it changes the game. This is another guy, similar. We got Valencia and Ashley Young, who played as forward guys, and they ended up playing wing back to continue their career. They could have said, "Oh no, I can't do that," but they can. That says a lot about their character. And so I think Ashley Young's a really likable person. He's got his move from Watford to Man United. Watford to Aston Villa, then to Man United. So he's come up from lower standards all the way up to play at the highest level, and he can look back and say he's had a great career, and he's been a really top class player, international caps as well. When he speaks, you listen because he's done it all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about that Villa team that had like Young, Milner, and Barry, and those three are basically going to fight it out for the most Premier League appearances ever, or the oldest outfielder or whatever. I think Young was somewhat disappointing as an attacker. Like, he was incredible at Villa, and he sort of came in and he was never going to be the star of the show and things. But to see him reinvent himself into a Serie A winning defender, who constantly, he was brilliant, Ashley Young. I've got all the time in the world for him. I think that he was a really, really good captain with really poor players around him. And I think at the same time, City had one of those Villa players, Fabian Delph.
Yeah.
And he was also another one of those properly determined winners that did a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you only saw if you watched the Amazon documentary, which I did. And I think that Young, the mentality, the character, going out at that age, winning Serie A, coming back, getting Villa promoted, and then staying up with them, and now doing the same thing at Everton. I think that he's probably tremendously underrated, in what he's achieved in football, and I'm pleased that we had him for his best years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Remember that attack of Keru, Gebiablo, Hambala, and Ashley Young. Sorry, I butchered his name. I don't care. That trio in 2009, 2008, around that Villa team was very fun as well, which was very cool. And Lindelof is still active. He's still playing for us. He's probably going to leave. So there's that. Let's move on. Midfielders.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I'm a bit terrified of this. As you can see, we have Jesse Lingard. Look, you will see that I put Lingard as midfielder. I put Mata as an attacker. So sorry about that. But you get the drift. Lingard was playing everywhere on the team. So sorry about that. That's my mistake when I when I was doing this presentation. But yeah, we have Jess Lingard here, Nemanja Matic, Scott McTominay, Marouane Fellaini, and Paul Pogba. This game started with Matic, Lingard, and Marouane Fellaini in the team, which was quite cool to see, I would say. What do you guys think about this bunch? Omondi, what do you think about this bunch?
So, first of all, Lingard, I think he's wasted his career. He's a talented guy. And he obviously hung around too long at Man United. I remember he scored something like 5 goals on loan at Burnley or something like that, and I think, okay. But he was hanging around, and never really. There was a period of time when it was showtime when he got. He was a starter for England, I think, in the World Cup in 2018. That was his peak. So it shows he's got some talent. But I don't think he fulfilled his talent. He should be disappointed. I think he'd be distracted. He was never fulfilled his talents. Maybe I'm incorrect, but because of the foolishness that he used to do off the pitch. That's my opinion on it. Comparing to someone who's professional like Valencia, who, he wasn't doing that foolishness. Matic, I think, is a great player. I like the way he plays his football. Cultured, does the right things, good decision making, strong as well. And I thought he was a very talented player. And then you got Pogba. We know all about him. We could have a whole show about his career and what's happened with him. I mean, he's in turmoil at the moment, isn't he? Because he's not allowed to play football until March. And there's so many things you can say about Pogba, and I'm not going to go there. But everyone, I'll leave that to the comments and bath time. And then you got Fellaini. we know about McTominay anyway. What he's done that's recent. But going back in time, we're going back 6 years. And remember Fellaini. I just think he was never a proper Man United player. I just felt, I know Bath Time talks a lot about having that physicality in midfield and what the Premiership is about. Yes, he's a good Premiership player, but I just at the time I thought, no, that was a bad signing for us. And I just, his strengths were getting the ball out of the air, bringing it down with his chest. He played a bit decent in football, but I always said, I remember saying this at the time, when we were in the Champions League regular and winning titles in 2013, 14, whatever, I felt that buying someone like Fellaini, when it comes to the crunch and it's clutch time and you're in midfield of a top side like Man United, this is the reason we go out against teams like Seville, because in tight areas, I don't think he's got, even though he's good on the ball, I don't think he's good enough to really have that, be a difference maker in those tight areas. And when you look at the only person there is Pogba and Matic, who have got the technique. I just recently, just before the show, there was a comment, an interview with Wenger. They asked him about technique. And he said something really important. He said, technique is everything in the game, because you might have the imagination to do something, but if you haven't got the technique, you won't be able to perform that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can imagine Pogba or Matic being in a situation, because they've got the technique, they've got an imagination as well. They can get out of situations or provide something special. But I just think players like Fellaini and McTominay, because they might have the imagination, they can't pull it off because the technique's not as good. So I prefer technical players. Fellaini wasn't for me.
Yeah. BT, what about you?
I obviously like 2 of these players, which would be McTominay and Matic. Fellaini, I've got to be honest, I'd probably take him over Xerxes as a false 9 at the moment. Lingard, never a fan. It always annoyed me how much like Rio Ferdinand used to call for him to be in the team. He wasn't someone you could hang your hat on. Like, we all know where he's ended up. I do feel he did do well at West Ham though, didn't he? Like for a couple of months.
And then he foolishly came back and all lied to him that he's going to start him, and then he didn't start him at all.
Yeah, could have sold him to Newcastle for 30 million.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba, I mean, it's Paul Pogba, man. I mean, the other day I put a tweet out with this quote, "See where they play," and it was Paul Pogba on a YouTube stream with that bloke that barks a lot. And that's kind of where, he's been through witchcraft, blackmail, but he is a World Cup winner.
Yeah.
And he did that at the club. But yeah, Matic, wonderful player. Absolutely would die for him to be in the squad now. Brilliant left foot, great attitude. Same with McTominay. I'd love him, but I'd love him in the squad now. But those are the only two that I would take back. Actually, I would take Fellaini because I think he'd do a better job than Højlund or Xerxes up front. At least he could control the ball on his chest.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? It's, Fellaini under David Moyes at Everton played as a bona fide false nine. He would do that a lot. He was like a number 10, but I would argue he was more of a false nine in that era. And he killed us. Whenever he played against us, he would kill us. I remember that 4-4 game. Nikica Jelavic scored. Lukaku scored. Fellaini scored. An insane game. I'm not sure. I think it was at Goodison. I remember it very vividly. And then shortly after, we signed him instead of Toni Kroos, which is amazing. But I
think Fellaini might have killed the Chinese league as well. I'm not sure, but I think he definitely went to China on one of the... Do you remember when they used to... I think Samieto ended up in China. Tevez definitely would have gone to China.
Oh, yeah, he went there and he earned 600,000 euros, dollars, or whatever per week.
Oscar.
He made insane money. And Oscar.
Was Oscar in China?
Yeah, he was in China.
Yeah. But I think that... They had some sort of like law, like tax law or something like that. But I think like Fellaini might have been the one that ended up getting it shut down and caused the death of the Chinese Super League. But then Saudi came.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, we will talk about it a bit further, but I want to say my thoughts about this squad of players. I mean, McTominay in this picture is 19, 20, whatever he is. Mourinho gave him a debut. He gave him a chance in the team. I think he more so got games near his sacking, which is very interesting. He started relying on him a lot in that midfield. And, we can all, blame Mourinho for that McFred midfield, by the way. Just kidding. But yeah, I love Nemanja Matic. I think that, he came to United a little too late, in my opinion. I think at Chelsea with Mata and, that team, they were amazing. And I felt like we only got one true good season of Matic. After that, he got injured, as Bart said. His legs were gone. But even when his legs were gone, like he had some great games for United and he made difference. And with Paul Pogba, he was very good. I think he helped Pogba a lot in that midfield. Remember that Crystal Palace game, 3-2 in the end, great goal. I still remember it. Jesse Lingard, I disagree a bit with Omondi. I don't think he was that talented, in all honesty. I think that he was a one-trick pony. He was very fast. He was very good with his movement. But apart from that, he was very one-dimensional player. But even with that, I think that he made a good career of himself. Honestly, I think he won some things. And, I think in the end, he will be very happy with his career. What happened later. And, I think he had some personal things that affected him a lot by the end of the United career, which is very sad. Hopefully he's well now. Pogba, you guys said it all. I'm not going to commentate. I mean, even Mourinho, he didn't want to start him. There were obvious problems in that locker room. And Marwan, I said it funnily enough, he went to China in 2019. He played until 2024. He played for Shandong Taishan. He played for Shandong Taishan, and he played 108 games and scored 39, which is funny. And I still follow him on Instagram. He was very happy at China, which was very funny. But yeah, can you, maybe let's read comments before we reveal where they are now.
You don't want to read the comments, Dora.
What?
No.
Okay.
Andrew's just off on one.
Yeah,
And, I
we
mean,
don't want to talk about that. Yeah.
Bart is the only person contributing anything of any relevance, which really
Yeah.
kind of shows you. Like, look, this is what we've got. Who likes my name?
Belal. I like your original name, Belal. But this is great as well. I demonstrate space. Amazing. I think it's very, very cool. Very cool. I mean, some of the rappers are, called like that. Maybe you're a rapper. Who knows?
I think it's something to do with Speed, the YouTuber, because he's called
Oh,
I Show Speed. I think is his name.
ah,
So
okay.
I demonstrate pace.
I feel like a boomer right now. Steph says that reminds me.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Yeah, go on. That reminds me. Need to get a new toilet brush. Thanks, Felin. Okay, you're very rude. Yeah, Oscar was huge in China. Yeah, and Hulk as well. I mean, he's such a Hulk, or we say Hulk. I will say Hulk. He was such a bag chaser. He went to Anji.
What?
He went to Russian League. Remember that oil team, Anji Mahachkala, that Samuel Eto'o went to. Some of the players, and he went there as well. And I think they got back. They fell apart after one season because they bought so many players. They didn't have money anymore, and then all of them went to China, which is amazing. But yeah, he is he was an insane bag chaser, Hulk. So yeah, I remember him because he was in Anji Mahachkala in the Russian league, which is insane. It kind of unlocked a forgotten memory in my head. But yeah, we can reveal where these guys are right now. Let's see. Okay, so Fellaini retired. I mean, I was surprised. Like let's see, he's only 36-year-old, but he got his bag. He wants to chill. He played for United until 2019, and in the end, he played until the end for Shandong Taishan. Matic is still active. He played for United until 2022. He went to Roma, which was coached by Jose Mourinho. He started okay, but after that, I think he got injured or something, and after that, he went to Rennes in France, and now he's playing for Lyon. He played 22 games for Lyon. He's starting sometimes. So yeah, good career for a good current career for a 36-year-old, which is great for Nemanja Matic. As we know, Paul Pogba was suspended. At first, I think it was a 4-year ban. Now he's an 18-month ban for doping. 2 times at United, first until 2011, then 2022. And he played only for 2 clubs in his career, for United and Juventus, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, he's still 31. Maybe there is a chance that he comes back to the high tier of football, but yeah, he needs to stop hanging out with YouTubers. Jesse Lingard still active until 2022. He went to Notts Forest. He went to West Ham loan, and then he went to Notts Forest loan, and it went horribly. He was horrible at Forest, and then he went to South Korea, and after maybe a few games, a Korean coach called him out and said that he is playing poorly. And he said, he called him out. He is worse than Jose Mourinho. He said, this guy stinks. And then after that, Jesse Lingard, started playing football. I think he played only 20 games for South Korean team. And yeah, poor.
Wonder if he goes North Korea next.
Oh yeah, for Pyeongchang. No, what is
Pyeongchang Town.
Yeah, Pyeongchang Town. Oh my God, I almost thought I said something else. Scott McTominay is still active, as we know. He's in Napoli. He's doing great. He scored against Milan on the weekend. 1-0 they won, which is absolutely insane. And they play against Inter Milan.
They drew 1-1.
1-0. Okay. Fake news. Fake news.
They're top of the table, though.
Oh yeah, they are top of the table. Attackers, guys. I'm going to fast this up because we are going to we are already this long, so we are going to be a bit faster. Yeah, as you can see, we have Rashford, young Rashford, Ante Martial, Alexis Sanchez, Juan Mata. I put him in the attackers, so sorry about that. And Romelu Lukaku. Guys, quick thoughts about these attackers. What do you think?
I like 2 of them. I liked Mata a lot. He's from Oviedo, my town in Spain. I loved Martial. I loved Martial so much. Rashford never really endeared him. Alexis Sanchez, from my adopted home, disliked him tremendously. Cared more about his dogs than he did about United. Lukaku, I just don't know what to think about Lukaku. He's a big brute. He's got terrible fitness, but that man scores goals everywhere. And I do quite like Lukaku as a footballer, and I know he'd get in our team nowadays. But yeah, those are my thoughts on those players.
Yeah, but
Sanchez and Mata for me, standouts. The others are all talented. They're all really talented. But Sanchez at Udinese and when he played for Barcelona as well, and what he did at Arsenal, he was probably one of the best players in the Premier League at that time. So with ability and what he can actually do, how effective he was, he's got to be one of the best players in this little group here. And I love Mata, great professional, great technique. I don't think he was used enough at Man United, unfortunately. We couldn't find a slot for him, but I thought he should have played more because we'd have more control in games. He was a really talented player, a bit like how Silva was utilised at Man City. I thought that we could have done something similar with Mata having that sort of talent. I just think you're wasting talent if you bring into the side someone as good as him who can influence the game and really dictate the tempo and keep the ball and have intelligence and be professional. I just felt that we underused him, and it's really disappointing. So yeah, Martial, talented, but attitude, I just think there's something character flaw there. Same with Rashford. I don't think he's fulfilled. We know where he is now. We don't think he's fulfilled anything there. And Lukaku, as Bath Time said, I mean, the amount of goals he scored internationally, he scores goals everywhere, even at Man United. His goal record was decent. So yeah, my two would be Sanchez and Mata as players that I really like.
Yeah. I just want to quickly address a comment, Dora. I do know who Sid Lowe is. I've actually met him at a Real Oviedo game.
Why is Sid Lowe be at Oviedo game?
Because he studied in Oviedo as a student and supported the football team. Yeah, and he used to go back. Like Woody Allen, loves Oviedo as well. He's got a statue there. Like one of his films was set in Oviedo. Like shout out to all my boys in Oviedo.
Yeah, but not to Woody Allen. You guys know why. Okay, my thoughts about this. When we signed Lukaku, I was very excited. I mean, he scored, guys. Please tell me, he scored insane amounts of goals. I think only for Chelsea he scored less than 10 goals. For the other teams, from Anderlecht to West Bromwich Albion to all teams that he played for, he scored 10 or more goals in his career. He is a goal-scoring machine. I think he's one of the best goal scorers in our era. Unfortunately, I think the teams and bad situations and even him sometimes. I mean, he kisses the badge of every team he played for, which is very corny in my opinion.
Not Robbie Keane.
No, yeah.
Did Lukaku get a hat trick against us for Fergie's last game?
Yes.
5-5 West Brom.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. He is still, in my opinion, he's a great striker still. Unfortunately, it kind of didn't work out for United. I think he scored for United, according to Wikipedia, which is he only scored 28 goals in 66 steps, which is, I think this is only Premier League or something, but yeah, quite underwhelming in my opinion. But this is still a great, 66, 28 goals. I think that's a good number still.
I thought he was good. I thought he was good for us. When Ollie came in, I remember he played Lukaku as a right winger, and Lukaku scored from that position a couple of times. It was just his touch, Yabba. I think the way Yabba loves people like Xerxes and stuff like that because they're aesthetically pleasing. Lukaku was never that, was he? He never looked like a United player because the ball would bounce off him a little bit, but he could score goals, and that's so important.
World-class strength. I mean, you talk, obviously everyone talks about wearing DMs when he plays football, and the jokes, were galore with him. But his strength was world class, and up against no defender would like him backing into him. There's not much you can do about it, really and truly. That's why he scores a lot of goals.
Yeah,
you see that goal he scored for Napoli the other day? He sent the centre up, like a ball got played through, like so into the space, and he boshed an Italian centre half basically 20 feet into the crowd. Like it was incredible. Like and you look at Rasmus Højlund. I'd much prefer Lukaku in our team.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. From this bunch, like I have a soft spot for Rashford and Martial, and of course Juan Mata, gentleman, Mr. Brain, Mr. Everything. Like I just love him. I always loved him as a player. At Valencia, I remember him, during that, Barcelona reign. Like young Juan Mata was insane. He came to Chelsea. He was an assist machine. Like he's just a great player. And for United, like Juanfield moment, he had some great moments for us. And unfortunately, he came in wrong era to United, which is very sad. But great professional. I love him so much. Sanchez, forgettable. I think at Arsenal he was insane, but I mean he didn't want to be here. And Martial, wasted potential in my opinion. A great player at the beginning of career. But I mean, if you look at this bunch, like it's not that bad, right? You have goal scoring machine, Lukaku, you have Mata. I mean, even though he was on the bench, but you have Martial, he's great. You have a youngster in, Rashford and Sanchez, who is a great senior player. Like we should have won that game, guys. Like it's so poor. But guys,
there's good attacking quality there. There's really good attacking quality there.
Yeah.
Like Martial was a golden boy. He was like one of the best young players in Europe. Like Juan Mata, World Cup winner. Like Chelsea double player of the year. When we signed Mata, we did it in a really, really weird way, I think, because we were absolutely terrified of Rooney going to Chelsea. And so we negotiated through 3 or 4 different agents, like a property chain, to get him in. Sanchez is like he's in the top 3 players that Chile have ever had. And Lukaku is one of the best goal scorers in Europe in the last 10 years. And but compare that front 5 to what we've got at the moment. And that looks so much better, doesn't it?
It's always in hindsight, isn't it? These guys, a lot of them have sort of come to the end of their careers, but I don't think we've got a player like Mata. I don't think Alexis Sanchez, we've got anyone close to him. And we know we've just recently got rid of Martial, Rashford's still there, and Lukaku doesn't really like the club. He left. He was disappointed. He wanted more respect on his name. And probably, in hindsight, he probably deserves it because there's a lot of, they talk about the price tag and he was friends with Pogba. There's a lot of things going on there, underlying things going on there with Lukaku. I think he's been given a raw deal. And damn right, he should speak out about it. That's how he feels. I think he would have continued to score goals for us if he would have stayed.
Yeah. Guys, do you want to have a big reveal, or do you want to do comments?
I think we should be thinking Lacanach, to be honest.
Okay. So we are going to reveal this, and then we are going to wrap up the show because Omondi is still sick, and we are all tired. Let's see. So Rash was still active. Sanchez is still active, by the way. He went to Milan, won Serie A and Coppa d'Italia. He went to Marseille for a year. Then he came back to Milan, and then right now he's back to his old club, Udinese Calcio, which is quite good. He's playing there sometimes regularly, I think. Lukaku still active at United, in Milan, won Serie A, went back to Chelsea. Awful stint, in my opinion, in his opinion as well. Huge drama, by the way. Roma and Inter loan. He came back there from Chelsea, and then finally he got his permanent spot at Napoli. Anthony Martial, interestingly enough, I forgot about this, by the way. I didn't even know that he had a club. Remember that awful Sevilla loan? I think he scored for his game that he started was in Europa League, and he scored against Dinamo Zagreb, and now everyone thought, "Oh my God, they're insane! He's going to be insane." And then he played 8 more games, and he just, I think Sevilla sent him back immediately. Right now, he's playing for AEK Athens, by the way, with Domagoj Vida, Croatian legend. So yeah, he's playing in the Greek league. He played 4 games. I think he scored 1, assisted 1, or something like that. So yeah, he's still good. And yeah, Juan Mata, still active, by the way. I thought he retired. He played for United until 2022. Went to Turkish league, played for Galatasaray as a squad player, more so. Won a league there. Went to Vissel Kobe at Japan, and he won the league. He played 1 game, and he got a medal. That's why he won the league. And now he's in Australia playing for Western Sydney Wanderers, which is
Del Piero's old club.
I think so. Or their version of Bolton Wanderers. But yeah, he's still active. I actually thought he retired. And finally, we have Jose Mourinho. Now we know where he is. Football heritage guy. Quick thoughts on him. I said it all the time. My favorite player for the time. People are going to say, "Ole," I love him. He brought wives to the club. He brought that, charisma. He brought us trophies. After some stint, and yeah, he won a European trophy in the end. And yeah. I love him. I truly love him, and one of my favorite coaches of all time. Quick thoughts, guys, before we wrap up about Jose Mourinho.
I'm a huge fan of Jose. Some of the stuff that he's done, still entertains me today. Like the time he told a referee that he had lived under a dictatorship and the referee was worse. When he used to go on about how worried he was about bird flu. Jose is one of the great characters of football. He's up there with he's our generation's Cloughy. Clough. And I really hope that there's a sort of second coming of Jose somewhere. Hopefully not at Newcastle United, but I'd love to see him get a job at Villarreal or something and win a league and just be really annoying somewhere else. I love Jose. I think he's fantastic and one of the great characters of modern football.
Yeah. You, Yaba.
Yeah, I mean, Barstein said it all there. I mean, look, to be a good manager, you have to he took Porto to the UEFA Cup, beating Celtic. The following year, he won the Champions League. With Portugal to rarely win the big major title in Europe. It's been a long time. I think it was 87 last time they did it with Benfica. So that is heritage. That's football heritage. And a bit like Alex Ferguson, what he did with Aberdeen. It just goes to show that's the credentials. You really prove how you are, how good you are. And as he said, so you've done that with lesser players, going through the Champions League, beating all these great sides, including Man United at the time under Fergie, with a lesser side, which we feel was a lesser side, and winning. That's a sign of a great manager. And to see overachieving. So I think when it comes to Mourinho, what gets me is he's very wise. He understands human nature. He understands psychology. He understands football. He understands how to deal with the media. He's just a genius in all these areas, and that what makes a good manager in this day and age. So he's if you only have to speak to players and see. I remember Materazzi. You were talking about him earlier, bath time. But do you remember the clip when he was leaving Inter?
Is it he the guy crying?
Yeah, he's
yes.
crying his heart out.
Yeah.
Because players long for someone who would invest in them and get the best out of them. And I think Mourinho was always able, this is what makes him a great manager, he's always able to get the best out of players who people will run through walls for him. His psychology was genius. And maybe in years to come, we'll read books or understands, get more information coming out about what he's done. I don't think it's like an iceberg, isn't it? We only see a little bit. I think there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
Which the secrets of Mourinho.
Like that Kane. Do you remember that Kane interview?
No.
Have you ever seen that? Where so it's Amazon Prime again, and he's at Tottenham, and he sits Kane down and says that he's managed Ronaldo, like he's been up against Messi, and Kane should be thinking about how to get to that level and things like that. You know, and to be fair, like we all now see Kane, or most of us do, as there's an argument to be made he's the best number 9 in the world. But during that time, that argument wasn't there. Like you know, like Benzema, Lewandowski, all these lot were there, and I think that, and then you know, saying to Dele Alli, the stuff he said to Dele Alli was so good.
Yeah,
about like time flies, don't play like your brother, and things like that. And I just think that Jose is someone who, if he could just get away from the game model of boring defensive football, it'd be so good to have a prime Jose back somewhere. Like he's a real legend of the game.
Yeah, and that's all. Like he is a true meaning of the football heritage, Jose Mourinho. And I think hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. This was my first time, I would say, hosting, even though the best time is puppeting me and showcasing comments and all that. But yeah, just kidding. Yeah, I had great time. Great fun. We will think about these kind of streams in the future more during international breaks. Go on Monday.
Really good show. I really enjoyed it, and I think there was a strategy to it, like a scientist. But as with science, there's always going to be a conclusion. So, what is the conclusion about the original quote you put out there?
Go on, you guys.
I'm asking you.
You're asking you, Dora.
Yeah. What is the conclusion? Like the original quote. I don't know if you can get it up again, but that came from Mourinho
in the first one.
Yeah. So. What do we conclude about this? About the players? We've gone through players. We talked about Man United 6 years ago, where they were. What does this quote really mean now in hindsight after going through the show?
I mean, first of all, I said it at the beginning, right? I said it that he was absolutely right. I think that I agree with you guys. What I respect Mourinho because he never, at the end of the day, even though he was kind of sometimes harsh and all that, he understood football and he understood footballers. And, at the end of the day, people are going to look back at for example, we look back at this game and these squad players, we will look back and say, this player didn't work. This guy didn't work because of this, because of that. And at the end of the day, even though they kind of ran out of the club and he made mistakes, I think he believed too much in these players sometimes. And with this quote, I think that some of them really, really underperformed. And as you can see, only a handful of them won something after the end, after he left and after they left the club. I don't know what to say, honestly. I think I said it at the beginning, like, I think he was absolutely right. He is a true football heritage, right? History, present, future. He went through that, throughout his career. And hopefully, some of these players are going to look back. I mean, a lot of players are looking back fondly at Mourinho, and, they always, have great words for him. But hopefully we as a club as well, we can, look back at this quote and say, we are football heritage. We have great history, but let's use that and, buy players and, cultivate players that are going to bring back that true football heritage to Manchester United. Because honestly, I think that we kind of lost it. We don't have it currently. And this was a bit, a bit of a brain far from my from my perspective, but I guess that's how I understood it on this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Very much so. I just wonder whether because obviously we've got a new manager coming in who's Portuguese as well, spending time with Mourinho. It's very key that you've made this show today, because I'm starting to think about Amorim, who I don't know much about, based on what you've presented today. So can he bring real heritage back to our club, as you said there? So really fantastic show, Dora.
I think it's more, Yabba, is Amorim in a better position than Jose was? Because we've won 2 titles, well, not 2 titles, but we won 2 cups with this squad. That's the football heritage we have at the moment, is that they've won cups. But the thing that all this says to me, as always, is that the best players are what win you leagues. And to think, even though the league feels a little bit weak at the moment, the level of this squad is nowhere near enough to winning the league. So what this show has kind of reminded me about is that you've got to be patient with Amorim, because we've come from Ragnick and Ten Hag, and it's been pretty dreadful. And so even if he gets the maximum out of these players, even, a quarterfinal in the Champions League, that seems a long way off. But I think I echo all of us watching and being here as well. You've done a fantastic job tonight, Dora. Really concise. It's really good, Dora. You've done. It's so hard to host these things. I don't think people realise that there's so much going on, and then Yabba brings up homilies about Mark Bosnich out of nowhere.
Mark Bosnich, the legend of the club, and other clubs, if you know what I mean. But I absolutely agree. Hopefully he does Mourinho after Porto, comes to United, Amorim, wins 2 Premier Leagues in a row, like he did, like Mourinho did with Chelsea. And I can't wait for him to start. But thank you guys for listening to us for almost hour and 47 minutes. We will hear from you soon. You will hear from us soon. And thank you for listening to me ramble. It was a great experience, and hopefully we do these kind of shows more, especially during international breaks. So thank you guys, and
thank you.
This is Lacunoc from me.
Lacunoc from me.
Lacunoc from me.